Welcome to True Night Crime, where we dive deep into the shadows of real mysteries that still haunt us today. Tonight we're traveling to a quiet suburban street in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, to uncover one of the strangest and most enduring unsolved disappearances in American history, the vanishing of the Sodder Children on Christmas Eve, 1945. George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants who had built a comfortable life in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George ran a successful trucking company, and the couple had 10 children. They were a close-knit family, well-liked in their community, though George's outspoken criticism of Mussolini had earned him a few enemies in the local Italian-American circle years earlier. Christmas Eve 1945 started like any other holiday. The children opened a few early gifts, played with new toys, and were sent to bed around 10:30 p.m. The older daughters, Marion and Sylvia, stayed up a little longer, and Jenny went to sleep around 11 p.m. George, exhausted from work, also turned in early. The house was a two-story wooden frame home, filled with the warmth of the holiday season. Then, in the middle of the night, everything changed. Around 1 a.m., Jenny was awakened by the sound of something hitting the roof, followed by a rolling noise. She assumed it was just the weather, or maybe holiday fireworks. She went back to sleep. 30 minutes later, she woke again. This time, to the smell of smoke and the crackle of flames. Fire was raging through the house. Jenny screamed for the family to get out. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children, Marion, Sylvia, George Jr., and John, managed to escape through doors and windows. Another son, Joe, was away serving in the army, but 5 of the children were still upstairs. Morris, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5. They never came down. George tried desperately to reach them. He grabbed his ladder to climb to the second-floor windows, but the ladder, usually kept by the house, was missing. It was later found thrown down an embankment nearby. He attempted to drive his coal trucks up to the house to climb onto the roof, but both trucks mysteriously refused to start, even though they had worked perfectly hours earlier. Neighbors called the fire department from a nearby town, but the response was delayed for hours. The fire burned uncontrollably, reducing the house to ashes in less than 45 minutes, an unusually fast burn for a wooden home, according to some experts. When the flames died down, investigators sifted through the rubble expecting to find remains of the 5 missing children, but nothing was found. No bones, no teeth, no trace of human remains at all. The official explanation was that the fire, possibly started by faulty wiring, had been so intense that it completely cremated the bodies. The Sodders never accepted that. If you're loving this chilling story, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Smash like if it gave you chills and comment below, what do you think happened? Your support means more dark tales ahead. For one thing, household appliances like stoves and tools were found intact in the basement, barely damaged, hardly consistent with a fire hot enough to destroy human bones. Modern cremation requires temperatures over 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit for hours and controlled conditions. A house fire, even a fierce one, rarely reaches that intensity long enough to leave nothing behind. Then, there were the strange events leading up to the night. Months earlier, a life insurance salesman had visited the Sodder home and, angry that George turned him down, warned, "Your house will go up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed." Another man was seen tampering with the house's electrical lines around the same time. On the very night of the fire, Jenny remembered a phone call around midnight. She answered, hearing a woman laughing and strange music in the background. Then the caller hung up. Marion also recalled seeing a man watching the younger children play with their toys earlier that week, from the road, peering through the window. After the fire, the Sodders launched their own investigation. They hired private detectives and offered rewards. Sightings of the children began pouring in. A woman at a Charleston hotel claimed to have seen the 5 children traveling with 4 adults a few days after the fire. Another report came from a motel in South Carolina, where a night clerk saw them in a car with Florida plates. Years later, in 1967, George and Jenny received a photograph in the mail. A young man in his 20s, with features resembling their missing son Louis. On the back was written Lao. Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie, lil boys, A90132 or 35. Verspow was der grocery. The Sodders were convinced their children had been kidnapped and the fire set to cover it up. They erected a billboard along Route 16, showing photos of the 5 missing children and offering a growing reward, eventually $10,000 for information. It stood for decades, a haunting landmark that kept the case alive in public memory. Theories ranged widely. Some believed a local mafia or criminal group, angered by George's past comments or business dealings, took revenge by abducting the children. Others suggested the children were taken to Italy and raised there. There were even rumors of a connection to organized crime rings trafficking children. Official investigations found no evidence of foul play. The fire was ruled accidental, caused by faulty wiring, despite the fact that the house lights were still on during the early stages of the blaze, which wouldn't happen if wiring was the cause. The latter, the broken trucks, the missing remains, the threats, all remained unexplained. Jenny Sodder spent the rest of her life researching the case, testing theories about bone survival in fires, and collecting every lead. George passed away in 1969, still searching. Jenny followed in 1989. Their surviving children and grandchildren have carried on the quest. As recently as 2025, family members continue to push for re-examination of the evidence using modern forensic techniques. Some have called for the site to be excavated again with ground-penetrating radar, believing remains or clues might still be buried under years of fill dirt. 80 years later, the 5 Sodder children remain officially missing. No bodies, no arrests, no closure. Was it a tragic accident that burned hotter and cleaner than any expert can explain? Or was it something far darker? A deliberate act that stole 5 young lives from their beds on Christmas morning. The billboard is gone now, but the mystery lives on. What do you believe happened to Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty that night? Accident, abduction, or something else? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. We read every single one. If this story left you with chills, hit that like button, subscribe to True Night Crime, and turn on notifications for more weekly journeys into the unknown. Your support keeps these forgotten cases alive. Thanks for joining tonight. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next shadow. Good night.